Put on this computer. Okay. Hi, welcome to the Holistic Systems meeting for July 30th. Okay, so I was going to jump into, like the value, like basically, so what I've been exploring for, for a long time is like, what are all the different kinds of value that we are, pooling and exchanging, or that, that are here, right? And like you just talked about, Christine, like, the social value. It's interesting because today I was rereading this piece on the 8 forms of capital, which is, one way to take a look at, like how to categorize value. And I wrote that in here because, like there's so much like that I think is intangible, right? Like you get a community together and there's just a lot of intangibles there, as far as, that, and then even also that can't be like tokenized specifically, right? Like the, social capital and the cultural capital and even like spiritual capital. So, but what I tried to do in regards for, what we're talking about is to look at, the different kinds and how, like what you can do with them essentially, right? So like, I think one kind that's pretty clear are exchanges. So however, whatever currency you're using, like these are, exchanges for services, for the most part, I think we would be our, our collective would be, like services and professional services. And then, the next kind is like pooling, and these are kind of more tangible, like things that can go into a pool, right? Like we talked about before, a template library, a knowledge base, it's like sharing software, investments, which would be cool to get to. And then there's, ones that I, kind of put together in like this community pool, right? Which is, some are, pretty tangible, referrals and connections, bringing in new members, if there's like cross collaborations that happen, but I don't know that you can like exactly exchange these aspects, even though some of them I think are, are definitely token measurable. And then there's like the intangibles, right? Which are things that you can call them by different words, but I think they're just things that you get out of being in a group like this and working with other people. That we can point to, but see the effect of and the impact of, but aren't like tangible and so hard to like measure or tokenize. Right. And then I put, like the operations or the curation in a bit of a separate category, and then like financial capital in this separate category. So, with this, so with all this, I say, okay, like now then what are we doing, like with all of this value, how are we pooling it together? And there's a way I've been thinking about it as like a commons, right? You get a bunch of people coming together, and sharing like these common resources. So I'm, at this point, my model is really running with the, the commitment pooling and like the vouchers. And so I put this, in the, like, I've been making some notes on what I'm doing in that value exchange document, wherever that is. But, basically like this is the first go at a model here. And basically, before I like try and explain this, basically the general idea is to have the exchangeable items like be these voucher share, put in as like commitment vouchers. So, if I have, consulting services, I can put those in as vouchers and you can redeem them. And, if you have marketing services, you could put those in as vouchers and we can, redeem. So we put those in a pool, which, I talked about, right, is really this like commitment pooling framework. Yeah, I still like that. I like that more than just having a community currency. But at the same time, like you can't have like not all of these things are voucherable. So I do think that having a community currency is still great. But I think that for me, at least in this model, the sort of primary thing, so somebody's like, hey, we're contributing to the community and we're getting like all this stuff out of it, which is great. But we're tracking contributions. So what can I do? Like I have contributions and I have a token. What can I do with that? I think that all sort of comes down to, like you can use those for redeeming vouchers. So, what this is, I should clean this up a little bit. No. So essentially, this model is basically just trying to like run the numbers and see like, does this work? Is there a way to make it work? So, it's, things are interdependent, in the model, and basically the whole idea of this model is saying, is trying to even these two things out. Is basically saying like, can the number of vouchers, that are redeemed, like be, balanced with the number of vouchers that are remaining in the pool, like at the end of any time period, right? So this is like over a month. So essentially, because if you're able to balance those out, I mean, right now it's like 84 and 78, but that's pretty close. So, if those can be basically balanced as you go along, then that's like, that then creates a sustainable way of doing this. That's my idea for now, right? So I'm trying to put in all the different factors and variables, right? So this, I based all this on like total like 25 members, but you can put in 100 members, and then the numbers are going to change, because now there's 100 people, putting in a membership fee. So that means there's more, fiat money coming in. But you probably need more operations hours, so you might have to change that to, I don't know, 150. And then there's probably more tokens coming in. So let's say like 500. And suddenly, these are getting out of balance. Right. And we also have to pick a voucher value. All right. So, but what does, oh, right. But more people, let me see. So I won't go, crazy with this, but initial vouchers in the pool. Yeah, but there's probably at 100, there's probably like, I don't, whatever, 400 vouchers in the pool. And then you get way ahead. So vouchers added, well, that's good. Vouchers added to the pool by members per month. So you say 200, but you assume there's 200 vouchers redeemed. And then there's other little things. So I can explain it, like all the little pieces, but essentially, that's the idea. But the thing, right, that trying to balance, there's a lever here, to balance things, which is wait, why is this 0? Conversion rate. Oh, well, that's okay. Well, until those go in, there's like, oh, right, because I moved the decimal places. Oh, 0.05. All right, so why isn't it showing up? Anyways, no, those are, I have values in here. I was gonna be like, what happened? So I don't know. So basically what these are is basically what is like the conversion rate of how much. So what I figured I'd do in this model is make like two different kinds of tokens, one for operations, and then one for like community contributions. Um, and then those can each have their own like conversion rate. So if somebody, you know, in this way, if somebody works, like does a role, an hour of somebody's, work doing operations or curation, whatever we want to call it, um, you know, earns them one token. Operations. Sorry, I don't know where that is, but it earns them like one. It earns them one token. Um, operations token. But then we can, if we convert that into vouchers, we can say it's like, a quarter. So somebody has to work for 4 hours, operations hours in order to redeem one voucher. So it's just a way to, you know, to help balance things, and then like a community token, might be worth like, 5%. So, it's just it's a way to kind of like, shift things and balance things as we go. That's the model I have. I mean, it's based on it's based on a lot of things. I also ran through, I haven't added that here, but I did run through like the expertise framework as far as like, that's the price indexing. And I put that in the value exchange document. And just to say, of course, like, ChatGPT is helping me with most of this because, I'm not like a mathematical model professional. But where is price indexing? Yeah, so, basically talking about price indexing and what we, using this expertise framework. And it was good. I liked it. Basically, if you use like a 3 to 2 to 1 ratio for expert, intermediate, and novice, that you still sort of, there's adjustments that need to be made, but like the balances, depending on the percentage of experts, intermediates, and novices, like putting in vouchers and taking them out, it doesn't seem to get like too out of whack in a way that couldn't be adjusted. So I'll yeah, I'll leave it there. So that's what I've got now.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting that you've started to create a little model like that. Where did the spreadsheet come from? Or you just made it?
Yeah, I just made it. I've just been like
Mm.
working with ChatGPT.
Hmm.
It's been, yeah, we're a good team. It helped me start, sort of like I said, hey, this is the sort of situation, what would be the mathematical scenarios we'd start, we'd want to run.
Mm.
And then it helped, it output several of those. And then at a certain point when I got enough variables in there, then I was able to just go through and then track, and sort of add in new parameters and new calculations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I guess like some questions did come up when you were sharing that. Like the first one would be like does commitment pooling in that regard, like how we've seen Will doing it, like would it, I don't know if it would translate over to a community that doesn't have an existing economy. Like we're building the HSC internal economy from scratch. And so it's not like there's already people selling fish and buying water and, you know, like none of that exists. You can't just trade money for vouchers. I feel like
Mhm.
that might be a point where HSC is different because yeah, like it relies on there being enough people in the pool. And like unless you can just get 1,000 people like off the bat, I feel like how is there ever going to be, how is it going to get to the point where the vouchers are like usable by people who want to use them? That's my concern on that level with commitment pooling. Like if
Yeah,
like you need a lot of people to commit up front in order to have something that's workable.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why I ran the initial numbers with 25. Um, because to me, right, like if you can get 25 people to say, "Hey, yeah, like I'm gonna jump in," that's, and maybe it's not 25, maybe it's 30, maybe it's, however, but I think if you get enough people to start, in that sort of initial seed process and do that's like seeding of the pool, then you can be off and running, and like I think it's sort of I think, it's to me like getting like 25 people doesn't seem, with like the number of people who are sort of are interested, doesn't seem like all that hard. To get 25 people and say, hey, everybody, put like, three of your vouchers in, into the pool,
Hmm.
and then let's start going, and there can even be initial, sort of money. Like that's how, how Will was doing it. Some of it comes from donations or some from the Red Cross, but there's initial seed money. So if you have some seed money in there, you put that in there, then people already submit their vouchers and then take some of that money out. But so there's doing it that, that way. I would think that, I don't know. I mean, would you, if there were, 24 other people, would you jump in and throw 3 hours of your time in there?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any reason why that's a problem, but I just think that like what if you've got 25 people and only like people only need services from three of those people, like, you know, to actually run their business. And the other people's like offerings don't match up yet. So because we're doing it on that swap level, um, it's like all of those services need to be useful to someone at some
Hmm.
point. Otherwise, they just sit there uselessly.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's the issue I'm seeing there. Like if no one ever gets their vouchers redeemed because they have an offering that may work in the outside world, but it's not working in the HSC internal pool. So does that person get a refund? Does that person just up and leave? Or do we encourage them to develop their offering into something that people want? Or,
Yeah.
you know, like there is possibilities, but it just feels like like a point that I'm not sure if you can always say it's just like one-to-one, everyone's offering is going to pan out.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I think that I mean, at least this way where I was playing around with it, there was like a lot of questions like that came up, and I think that there's a way where there'd be a lot of experimentation. And I think that that could be some of the fun for people. It feels fun to me, meaning like, like we don't actually know even if like, yeah, that commitment pooling would work, like would people be into that? Would people like that? Or are people just like, would they rather just have like, it all be tokens, and just exchange, via tokens in a community currency. Um, so, I, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I think there's a lot of like kind of questions to be answered, but I think it is, if people come in, especially the first people come in a way where they have like this, collaboratory laboratory mindset, then
Yeah, like if you apply it to something like INAP, there is sort of like a little existing system in the way that like all those members in Guynet have businesses that are, well, working to some degree in the world. I'm not sure like if all of them are like fully functional, but yeah, so they have something to bring into the pot. So I mean, it would be the same in HSC if people have existing businesses or existing projects or clients and things like that, and they bring that into the pool. It might sort of provide that feeling of like, you know, there's an existing economy that we are then using commitment pooling with, or, you know, using HSC frameworks with. But yeah, so like one thought I had is that money, like as it currently is relatively free flowing, like in that people create the value ongoing, like it's just a one, it's basically like a one token, like the dollar. And then people can decide if that loaf of bread is $5 or $4.50 or whatever. So like if I know that tokens are moving into this more programmable phase of money, where like this token is for this token is for that, this one does this one has a relationship with this token that means this, and this group of tokens has this power, and you know, like this is the reason why people are moving into tokenization, because the machines like it, the AI likes to have granular data about information systems, like about human systems and ecosystems. So it's like we have that reason like because that's the bigger picture, that's what's going on in the bigger picture. Like if you join the token economy, that's what's happening, and that would be the ocean you're swimming in. So like that excuse me, sorry. Yeah, so that in itself would be a huge change, like in terms of the experience of money, in that it's like micromanaged down to like what this token stands for, what this token does. Um, yeah, I don't know like how exactly I personally feel about that. You know, I don't have
Right.
like it. I can see some pros and cons with that, definitely. But to me, I'm just saying that that's how I see like the overall pattern moving. So if HSC is designing something that's going to fit inside of that, then that's like the parameters of like creating something of value. Like if there's HSC token, or if there's like a subset of tokens within the HSC system, you know, that define, like as you say, like the operational versus the community. Like when you showed me that first table with all of the parts, I was already thinking like, what if there was like these sub tokens type thing, or something to like match up with those subsets of value. I mean, I don't know if they'd have to be individual tokens, but if they were like, yeah, some sort of like web of tokens,
Yeah, yeah,
as in like, yeah, like you can see that they're doing different things, those different tokens.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, totally. And it's, yeah, right. You know, this is this question that you bring up, right? Like the initial idea of, you know, when you have this, having this sort of community currency, right, is that there's like a, you know, a token that's like the utility token. And so then, right, somebody can buy services. You know, if there's like a one co-op token and that's for, you know, exchange, somebody can buy, you know, can buy that.
Yeah.
I guess somebody could do that with the, you know, with a voucher. Well, of course somebody could do that with a voucher.
Hmm.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know how, right? Like, yeah, in this model, yeah, I have to think about how, you know, how then people sort of like come together and sell their services, and maybe that's, you know, maybe that's just a different offshoot. I think that there's a reason, you know, like from a lot of things that I've been learning, you know, is like that just reading about like research and is that like there seems to be like a consensus that's forming that like that community currencies aren't actually effective. There's this book coming out by the person who was like heading up the Bristol Pound, and it comes out on Thursday. I'm interested in it because it's basically the book like talking about her experience and saying like it didn't work, and there's a reason, you know, reason it didn't work. So I think that's you know where at least where I'm going with the
I understand that. My sense is that it's like a pendulum that swings. Like, I don't think community currencies are going to go away. I feel that once everything is like people have used their digital wallets more in everyday life, you know, that's an answer to that. Like, you could have multiple community currencies all in a digital wallet. Like, it's easy to manage, you know, so I feel like there's like just phases of like normalization and integration that, like, from what I can see of like the future is that, yeah, like I feel that community currencies probably aren't going away necessarily.
yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. And right, you know, like there's two community, right? Like I think, you know, in this model where there are, you know, there are community currencies. And and I also was thinking like, well, what can you do with like your community tokens? And you know, the operational, not so much the operational, but yeah, like what can you do like with your community tokens and operational tokens other than like redeem for vouchers?
Well, yeah, it depends if HSC really develops a niche or not. Like, because if HSC becomes defined by creatives who work on video projects and help healers, like, you know, that might mean something in the wider world eventually. Like, but if it becomes really broad, then it's hard to say right now in my mind, like what a HSC token means against other tokens.
Yeah.
And so and I mean that in the sense of like HSC token against even just a money token, like a dollar.
Yeah.
Like, what does it actually mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's where, like in this particular model, if you add in commitment pooling, I don't know actually know what the HSC token is. You know, you know, there's you know a token, right, that there's something that you earn for, you know, for you know, contributing, you know, to operations, or something you earn for, you know, all the different like community contributions. You know, but for the most part, that, right, like that, the real value there is, you know, is that you can redeem it for, you know, for vouchers. And maybe, you know, I mean, I don't know, I haven't really thought about this, but maybe, yeah, it's a really good point. So, you know, maybe there's like an HSC, you know, an HSC voucher, right? Because that's the whole idea, is like a voucher is basically just like, it's just a gift. It's just, you know, a Target gift card. So if you want to buy something at Target, you could buy yourself a $50 gift card and use it at Target, just like, you know, you could money. So if HSC wants to, you know, right, like if we want to go in, you know, like sort of say, okay, let's move more into the agency model. We have a few people who want to do that, you know, then essentially we could just say, sure, well, you just buy, you know, this service is this many HSC vouchers. Might be one way to think about it. I don't know why I shared my screen to get there, but yeah, but it's
mentally. Well, I have to go in about 5-ish minutes, or
Okay.
5 to 7 minutes. But yeah. What any other things you wanted to bring up before we go?
Um, yeah. So, well, let's see. Well, are we gonna meet? Do you still want to meet in like an hour and 10 minutes for governance?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool. Then yeah, we can cover that then.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, the only other thing I've been thinking about, I actually thought we could, when I was digging into governance, I thought, oh, there's like, we can start to make proposals for all different kinds of things. Um, I still don't have, quite so much a pulse on what people want to do for meetings. We do have this kind of like
Mhm.
standard Tuesday meeting momentum, but I think that, um, it might be nice to, right, to vary some different times. Right. So that way, like, some later times, so someone like yourself could come, some earlier times, maybe. So then, people in Europe. Um, you know, and I wonder if some of it is just like, we're in kind of like a building phase, and maybe there's only going to be so much, participation until we get like a thing, going.
Yeah, I'd love to see so everyone's like a certain amount of energy per month going towards the circles, like if they choose to be in member experience or value exchange or yeah,
Yeah,
governance,
yeah,
etc.
yeah. I still do like that idea of having like circles meetings
Mm,
where we just come and then, right, we work
mm,
on whatever different circles that, depending on the people who are there or the needs. Um, I mean, maybe we can make those for a different day and, you know, different times. I mean, that might be like an opportunity to start to establish another like meetings on another day
mm.
that would be more
Yeah.
operational.
Like, yeah, I mean, we could do it a couple of different ways. Like over a month, we could do like one community meeting or like two community meetings where it's like people come together and get together and enjoy time. Like it seems like some people can only come at that frequency anyway.
Hmm.
Like, so that might not be a huge adjustment. And because it's good to have that community space. I mean, ongoing in the future, it could always be there available like weekly or even bi-weekly. If there's enough members who want to just drop in and talk and, go over certain processes or questions or things together. But then like if that's minimized down rather than weekly, then that gives like another like 1 to 2 meetings at least per month that people are already, aware of, like a meeting per week. Then that gives those times to actually do work or, as a starting point. That's just my idea of like getting people to put their focus, if they've been a long time member, to become active in a circle and just use some of
Mm,
that energy
hmm.
to get some of that work done that needs to be done.
Hmm. So the idea is like to like have it at the same sort of times, this like have all the meetings still on Tuesday, but then just kind of split them up,
I mean,
one.
I would like it if it was like a bit mixed up time-wise.
Yeah.
But the governance meeting can fit my schedule. Like we've so far it's been fine like that. So in that regard, like the member experience meeting could also fit my schedule plus Zaya's schedule. Like that's not too hard. Um, so it's just up to us to make up when that would be. So there could still be like a certain amount of community meetings and maybe a skill share per month at this point, which understood that it's all going to grow. But at this point, it just have like a couple of things there, and then the rest of it, everyone else is like figuring out what works for their circle. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. Sounds good.
So see what
Yeah.
people say about that. If there's
Yeah. 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 I like that. I like that idea. Um, yeah. Okay, well, maybe we can, I know you, yeah, I know you've got to jump but we'll meet, in, again, an hour and 5 minutes, and maybe, like I
Yeah.
can sort of run a couple numbers on that or whatever, and then we can talk about that, with
Mhm.
governance and, I thought maybe we could go through the Airtable and sort of set up a couple of proposals.
Yeah, yeah, sounds good. All right.
All
I'll see you
right,
soon.
see you then. Thanks.